Hey, happy Friday. This week we learned that Bill Gates is somehow still pulling the strings over at Microsoft. We got 4 new hints of an upcoming Microsoft/Xbox gaming handheld, and the Rabbit R1 not only could have been an app, it actually is an app, apparently. Welcome to the Friday Checkout. This video was sponsored by Bellroy. Okay, we start the brief with news that Rayner got in trouble. Remember their Zephyr RGB face masks, which they claimed were at an N95 level? Well, according to people like Naomi Wu and the FTC, that was apparently a lie. Rayner knew it was lying, and the company was now fined for every cent that they made selling that damn thing. Intentionally lying about health data is a pretty dangerous thing, and I'm surprised that there's only a monetary fine, not a jail one, but oh well. Next, the layoff season continues, with Google on the one hand laying off a ton of teams that supported developer programs around Flutter, Dart, Python, and other engineering roles, and Tesla also laid off its entire supercharging division of more than 500 people. Just the whole team, and reports are that Elon did this as retribution because the head of the group didn't want to make cuts as aggressive as he did. So he fired the whole team as basically revenge. Cool and normal. Next, Apple has relaxed its rules in the EU for some of its alternative app store fees in response to developers being worried that they could go bankrupt if one of their apps went viral. The company removed the core technology fee for free apps and also made it free for 3 years for those earning under 10 million euros a year. So this makes alternative app stores actually maybe somewhat viable. Moving on, you can now buy Cheyenne, which was the 20th most powerful supercomputer in the whole world less than a decade ago. It is up for sale via auction, and at the time of writing, the price was about $100,000. So if nothing else, you might be able to keep a whole district warm as you mine your Bitcoin. Nice! Then, in weird news, Google this week also started rolling out audio emoji in their phone app, which means that you can now use classy sounds such as fart/poop sounds, as well as others like a drum roll in your phone calls. Okay. And finally, for the brief, I now also have a Patreon. A viewer of mine convinced me to stop being lazy and just set one up already, and so it exists now under the name TechAltar. It is fully optional, there's nothing behind the paywalls, but if you want to support either of my channels, you can do that at patreon.com/TechAltar now as well. Now on to our release monitor, which starts with Huawei rolling out its Pura 70 line outside of China. These are the P-series flagships just with a new name, and their motorized camera sensors seem pretty cool. Next, Honor also brought out its Porsche design Magic 6 to markets outside of China. This is the phone that has that crazy dual-layer OLED tandem display, or basically 2 OLED screens stacked on top of each other. Very futuristic. And for our last new release, Apple put out a bunch of new Beats products, and while most of them are actually pretty decent, the Beats Solo 4 is somehow inexplicably uncomfortable. It sounds so strange that my studio mate Killian called it a catastrophe, and it doesn't even have active noise cancelling despite costing $200. That is just so weird. Okay, for my first story of the week, a new report shows that Bill Gates is apparently still massively important over at Microsoft, and he's pulling the strings even behind new projects like those within AI. Although Gates officially announced that he would start stepping back from running Microsoft all the way back in 2006, he was still on the Microsoft board until 2020, and despite Pinky promising multiple times already that he has super stopped by now, Microsoft's top executives in a new Business Insider report say that he has definitely not. Quote, "What you read is not what's happening in reality. Satya and the entire senior leadership team lean on Gates very significantly. His opinion is sought every time we make a major change." And this includes Microsoft's perhaps most important deal around AI as well. The popular story is that Microsoft's CTO, Kevin Scott, brokered the Microsoft and OpenAI partnership in 2018, but the new report says that Bill Gates had been meeting up with the ChatGPT maker from as early as 2016 and sort of locked things down in advance. In addition, the 60-year-old Gates is apparently regularly reviewing products and regularly meeting key executives and chief scientists for business apps like Microsoft Teams and more. And finally, he's also personally involved in recruiting and retaining important executives for Microsoft, claims the report. Okay, so grooming the key executives, reviewing the key products, brokering the key deals. It sounds like the old fox is still pulling plenty of strings over at the company. Fun fact, Gates currently owns a 0.5% stake worth about $15 billion in Microsoft today, which is down from his 45% share at peak, which today would be worth more than $1 trillion. That is an unimaginable amount for a single human. Okay, and for my second story of the week, Microsoft seems to be taking Windows handheld gaming devices very seriously, with at least 4 new leaks and teasers pointing at either a complete overhaul for Windows for this category, or perhaps even first-party Xbox hardware. First, the report says that Microsoft emailed people a survey that asked 28 questions to gauge interest in a dedicated gaming handheld. These questions included things like, quote, is my gaming handheld my primary gaming device, or is it secondary to a console or computer? Second, Xbox boss Phil Spencer keeps telling people that he can't stop thinking about gaming on handhelds and that, quote, I want my Lenovo Legion Go to feel like an Xbox. This means that, quote, I want to be able to boot into the Xbox app in full screen, but in a compact mode, and all of my social experience is there, which would include games while on the go, as well as cross-saves and more. Third, on the Xbox blog, Microsoft recently claimed that, quote, we see a lot of opportunity in different types of devices, and we'll share specifics of future hardware plans as soon as we are ready, hinting at new form factors. And fourth, Microsoft has just announced adding the ability to save and remember multiple Wi-Fi networks on Xbox consoles. This could just be a random feature, but as Tom Warren from The Verge has pointed out, it is something that a stationary machine would probably not need that much, but a portable one sure would. So which one do you think Microsoft should do? A dedicated gaming handheld, their own first-party hardware, or an Xbox software layer that all the other third-party companies can put on their devices, like Lenovo and Asus? Okay, and for my third story of the week, the Rabbit R1 had a launch week, and to say that it was mixed would be pretty optimistic. Most of the initial reviews were pretty rough, pointing out that it's about as half-baked as any product can get at launch. Now maybe that will get better with time with new features and everything, but the famous Android tinkerer Mishaal Rahman also got the Rabbit software running on a Pixel as an app. Because of course teardowns from the likes of iFixit have proven that this is unsurprisingly just a cheap Android phone in a funny shell, and Mishaal has found that it runs a version of Android 13. Meanwhile, all the Rabbit software is simply a custom launcher on top of this, which is basically just a type of app, and fun fact, even their keyboard is just a fork of an existing open source Android app called AnySoft Keyboard. Of course, Rabbit then made a big statement explaining that this was definitely not just an app, and then promptly patched said non-app to stop working as an app. I mean, it's hardly surprising that anyone building a new device like this would probably just use Android hardware and components and software for it anyway. But yeah, all the people who said that this should have just been an app, of course, now feel very vindicated, and the hardware feels more and more like an overcomplicated solution. Okay, enough of disappointing products. Now let me show you a product design trick that I was super positively surprised by, which happens to be on my Bellroy wallet. So at first sight, this just seems like a regular slim wallet, but what makes it special is how it opens. You have two sides, one of which holds 2 cards, these are your most frequently used ones, and then the other side holds the rest, which is 6 more cards or 4 cards plus some bills. Now because the 2 sides fold differently, and because the opening is offset, you always know which side is where, even blindly, which then enables this. A single motion opens up your right compartment, grabs your most frequently used card, pulls it out, and the magnetic trapdoor automatically closes behind it. I guess that's something like 90% of what I want to do with my wallet, just to take out my primary payment card and then to pay. And I can do that blindfolded here while chatting with a cashier, and I don't have to dig through multiple cards to find what I want. It is such a small thing, but I love a well-designed product, and every Bellroy product that I've tried so far was full of these incredibly thoughtful design choices. Like if I was an iPhone user, I'd probably consider going for this MagSafe wallet with the same magnetic trapdoor as on my wallet, and all of their cases look so gorgeous in various versions too, both inside and out. And similarly, my Venture backpack from Bellroy that I told you about a few months ago is jam-packed with dozens of its own clever little design choices as well, and has held up incredibly well so far. This is clearly a company run by people who take product design very seriously, and it's also a certified B Corp, so the materials that they use are responsibly sourced too. The nylon and polyester used in backpacks, for example, are made with 100% recycled materials, like plastic bottles and industrial nylon cutoffs, while leather goods are made using leather with special dry tanning processes that they claim has helped them save 15 million liters of water, and so on. Using my link in the description, you can get a 10% discount on any of their products, so check them out. I hope you find something good, and I'll see you in the next episode.